My name is Mariama Abdullahi David from Shekinah Clinic for the Poor and Destitute. I'm the CEO of the facility and co-founder of DAMS, that's David Abdullahi Memorial School, both in Tamale. I went to school at the age of 14, and of course from the north, education was not given attention even till date, but it's better than before. And especially to be a girl, it was not possible for you to go to school. So being a girl, I was not fortunate to be put in school by my parents, but at the age of 14, I decided to put myself in school with the help of the headmistress of Chogu Demonstration Primary School in Tamale. I used 4 years, even though you don't use 4 years to complete primary school, but because of my age, I started with primary 1 and I kept skipping classes. So 4 years I completed primary school, and then to junior high, I used 2 years again instead of 3 years to complete. Then I went to Ghana Senior High School in Tamale, Ghana School. Then from there, I went to University for Development Studies in WA campus. So I did integrated development studies. I heard about Shekinah Clinic for the Poor and Destitute, where the late Dr. David Abdullahi, my late husband, may his soul rest in peace, was working, doing his philanthropical works. So when I got to know about him, even as a child when I was growing up, in the environment we came from, the challenges that the society was faced with, it was always a wish in my heart that someday I would do something for the society if I could. So for the foundation he was operating, I decided to also join them to volunteer with the facility. So when our results were out from the senior high school, I applied for UDS and I went there, and I was still volunteering there. So after completing school, of course God in his own way made it possible for me to get married to him. So I was working with him at Shekinah Clinic for the Poor and Destitute for some years, and then he fell ill in 2016 and passed on. Then I took over as the CEO of the clinic. And by the grace of God, we still up and doing. I might, if I'm not mistaken, I will say that the clinic is still running very well, if not better than it used to be. I always say to people that it looks as if it's when somebody is no more that his spirit works even harder, because looking at our achievements so far, right from 2016 till date, I can say that God hasn't really been good to us, because we've been able to come out with the school, which was a plan we took together, because he has a very interesting childhood stories, just like me. As I mentioned earlier, I went to school at the age of 14 due to the humble background that I came from, and he also had his own childhood stories, that he was the only survivor of 11 children. His family gave birth to 11 of them, and all his 10 siblings died as a result of poverty-related diseases, and he managed to survive by eating food from dunghill. So he was in and out of school, and by God's grace he managed to become a medical doctor. He attended Our Lady of Fatima and the Pema Primary in Tamale, then went to Tamale Senior High School, known as Tamasco, then to Ghana Medical School, that's Legon, and he completed, and as I said earlier, decided to work independently. He worked with the Ghana government for some time, but at the time it was a cash and carry system. If you didn't have money and you go to the hospital, there was nothing like health insurance as we have now. So he felt that the pain he went through by losing his 10 siblings, he didn't want others to go through that. So he wrote a letter to the Ghana government saying he wanted to opt out completely to render his service to the poorest of the poor in the society. So he established his own facility called Shekinah for the Poor and Destitute, which is still running today. A lot of people thought he was going insane, because if you are still receiving salaries as a family man, it's not enough for you. Then you write a letter saying you want to opt out completely and render your services to the poor. So people thought this was going to be impossible, but anyhow, God uses the people he chooses to use. So he had his conviction, and he managed to come out with Shekinah Clinic. worked since 1991 till his sad demise in 2016. And as I mentioned earlier, I got married to him. We have 4 children, and after his death, I took over. And by the grace of God, all our services are still ongoing. We render free medical services to the poor. We have a daily feeding program where we feed an average of about 200 poor people, including some selected prisoners from the Tamale Central prisons. And of course, day-to-day consultations together with operations like hernia, hydrocele, lipoma, among the other minor operations that can be run under local anesthesia. Then David Abdullah Memorial School, we have now about over 400 students, and actually the school runs on 3 different categories. We have fee-paying students, we have partial school scholarship for some students, and also full scholarship for some students. And the selection is done based on your capability, like where you are coming from, and if we do our investigations and we are satisfied that you are somebody who cannot afford to pay fee, we give you full scholarship. And if you are somebody who can also do something in your own small way, we give you a partial scholarship, like 50% payment. Then those who cannot afford at all will be for free. And the fee paying is also very moderate if you compare to schools around. So, of course, as I mentioned, like after his death in 2016, the system is still ongoing, but it's not just easy to run a facility of that nature, saying you're given free feeding every single day to over 200 poor people, you give free medications, among other things, and you have volunteers that works under you. And coming from the society that I am from, you know, from the north, and even I would say in Ghana or worldwide, it's not easy for a woman to be a leader of an institution. It has not been easy. We all know what transition entails. If you, every transitional period has its challenges. So after the death of my late, it was very difficult to a point where even those who were working with us, the volunteers, thought maybe it's not going to be possible for the system to continue because there are many challenges. Some were doubting that maybe we will no longer get support like we used to get to support the poor because Dr. Abdullah is no longer alive, and a whole lot of doubts. But you see, the God of the impossible is capable of doing anything. And as he used to tell me that God can use even a mosquito to do his work. So we kept moving. You see, in life you have to be daring to be able to achieve your goal. If you want to really succeed in whatever you do, you don't have to pay attention to the doubting Thomases or the queries that people put on you. You just have to keep moving. After my late demise, there were many people, including some friends, who advised me that why don't you leave what is happening around you and lead a new life, take an easy decision instead of this difficult one. And of course, so much lies were told about me, and some said we've given her a maximum of 1 month. The system will collapse. She's a small girl and a woman to lead a team with men. A woman to do such a difficult task, impossible. You see, but what they did forget at the time, and even now, is that God is the God of impossible, and he can use anything he wants to use to do his work. And for us, I think we are just instruments in the hands of God to use us as and when he pleases. So in spite of all the difficulties, the challenges, some were physical attacks, some were spiritual, and still even, but sometimes when I look at things around me, I take consolation that I have my God, and whatever he does not allow in your life to happen will not happen. And with or without human beings, if God wants to do his work, he will choose who he wants to use and how he wants it to be accomplished. There's always a popular verse in the Quran that I love very much, and that's 95 chapter 4, that says that wherever there are difficulties, there is ease. So sometimes when I'm faced with challenges, I look at that and I'm like, okay, this is a passing phase. This will come to pass, and it passes. And trust me, What we do in the society, I cannot quantify that, and I'm not going to say that we are the best and that we do what others cannot do. But in our own small way, I will say that we have made a lot of positive impacts in the lives of people in the North, especially Tamale, if not even Ghana. Because what Male stood for, like I said, he started the project in the year 1991, renders his service to the poor. For the past 25 years, we were just about to celebrate our 20th anniversary when he passed on. So because some people might be new to what I'm saying, Shekinah for the poor and destitute in Tamale. What do they do? Like I mentioned earlier, we have a daily feeding program where we feed an average of about 200 poor people. We also have annual Christmas party where over 3,000 people are fed. And also during Salah festival, we also feed our friends on the streets of Tamale, including the prisoners, all the prisoners in the Tamale Central prisons, and the officers on duty are also taken care of. So this particular day of Christmas, we cook jollof rice with chicken or any meat available, put them in takeaway bowls, popcorn mixed with toffees and biscuits in a package, together with soft drinks, and used clothing and sandals donated by kind people here and there. On this particular day, these people we bring to feed will have a privilege of getting at least one pair of shoes, shirt, and a pair of trousers. And those living in the Tamale Central Prison, as I mentioned earlier, will be fed also, all the prisoners, including those in the cells and officers on duty. Then the daily feeding program, we cook the food at the clinic premises. We have a kitchen where the cooking is done. We have our food menu, where various food items is prepared for each day. And we put the food in a pickup and we hit the streets of Tamale, and we give to the mentally challenged people on the streets of town and those living on their own and have nobody to take care of them. So every single day we do that. And we also have destitutes living in the clinic where we give them accommodation and we give them breakfast, lunch, and supper. And like I said earlier, the daily consultations with various illnesses is done, and we work on first come first serve basis because it's for free, and almost every community surrounding the area comes there to access healthcare. We are very limited in the number of people we can see per day. So a day we see close to 60 to 70 people. So we select the first 30, and then we are to review cases. Old people don't queue, those who are very ill, people with mental ill cases, and that of the epileptic people don't join the queue. But the rest, when they come, we select the first 30, and the remaining one will go and come back the following day. So we add the first 30 that we select to the review cases among others. And a day, like I said, we see an average of about 60 to 70 poor people. And there used to be educational fund support for brilliant but needy students in the area. Because as I mentioned earlier, both of us has our interesting stories looking at the backgrounds we came from. He not being able to go to school, and with the help of people here and there, he managed to become a medical doctor. And I going to school, putting myself in school at the age of 14, which is very uncommon, especially being a lady. When I went at that time, there were many that were doubting again that, hey, a woman at the age of 14 in the North, 15, 16, even at that time, people were already preparing for marriage. And for you to say you are going to school, you're just deceiving yourself. And some of my friends that I grew up with were like, Mariama is not being normal. She's not being reasonable. How can you go to school at this age to learn what? To get what out of it? So anyhow, some people say I'm stubborn. Others say, I have any names they give me. The Yasantiwa, the stubborn girl, the Bible Tamsili, which means the little powerful girl. So those were the words people used. And sometimes, like I said earlier, when you are embarking on a journey, you don't have to listen to people or tend to throw stones at every barking dog, for you never reach your destination. If I were to listen to the comments or discouragements that I got from people, But at the time I put myself in school, then I wouldn't have gotten an education. And as I speak now, like I said, I got my first degree at UDS in WA campus. And I recently, last year, had my MPhil in Community Health and Development. And by the grace of God, I'm still planning to go to school again to do my PhD. And somehow it's interesting that in spite of all the challenges, even at my tender age, people, or the obstacles they place on my way, that did not stop me from getting to where I plan, or God decides to put me. They still haven't given up. Every now and then you get a form of a discouragement and doubts that, oh, can she do this, can she do that, you know, in that order. But what I want to say is that daring to do what you want to do, or to make a decision that people think is impossible, is always something that can be possible. All you need to do is to be strong, listen to the little inner voice that speaks to you, and keep holding on to your God. And I think that with God nothing is impossible.